Right, here we are then. The start of the front of the race. We've got Casper Hederdam. We know what a threat he is. The Giro de Europa event. He was leading after 4 stages. Was unable to complete all 5 due to work commitments. He would have been a surefire bet for the actual overall GC title, but instead he had to pass up on that opportunity. He's definitely one to watch out for today. We can see here he's putting in a decent effort on these early little bumps. As Hartwell now takes over the lead. We've got Jenko in behind him. Pedersen, Nick Greenall, Andrei Kajewski, Ben Phillips, Guillaume Toffoli, Nixon and Jan Decker there. Good group here still together. A couple of riders just in behind, trying to hang on to the coattails of this leading group. We see here E-Cycle Club Denmark, latest club to get their kit in game on RGT. Always good to see. It's Hart now coming through to the front to take a turn. You can see the profile at the bottom there. It really is a very undulating course. Lots of little bumps. Around about 32 kilometres in total this race. Around 256 metres of climbing. We're already 50 metres in. We hit another of these small little ramps. Nothing too long, nothing too sharp in these early stages. But there is a longer climb to come, which arrives within the last quarter of the race. And then the climb up to the finish as well is also an opportunity for someone to break away. If we zoom out here, that we can see Casper Hederdam there leading the group. So Nixon's coming across as it starts to level up a little bit at the top of this climb before this left-hander. The group just managed to regroup slightly. So, and now onto a little downhill. Perhaps an opportunity for a bit of rest for some of these riders. It'll be very much an up and down kind of race. On these big sweeping roads. Minus 4% gradient there. Another one of these little climbs. 4.5% then. Gradient changing all the time. You can see it in the top right hand corner. Numbers are red again. So Hederdam, he's a known entity. People know he's a strong rider. It'll be interesting to see if this group can work together. It's 10 versus 1. They don't want to let him go too early. But if they work together, they might be able to just keep him on a short leash. As we see Hart now pushing off the front. Hederdam sitting in that group. Maybe catching a little bit of rest. ready to push again on this next little climb coming up, which is probably the biggest climb of the race so far. Won't be the biggest overall. And there we go. We see him launch from the back, put the power numbers into the red. Heart valve responds. Now we're going to see this getting strung out all over again as the slope picks up slightly. So front three, Jenko, Hartwald and Heiderdam, 10-meter gap. This group of 6 or 7. With Ray there trying to bridge across. Not much time for rest on this route. Constant changes in the elevation, in the gradient, in the turns. As soon as you get to the top, a little crest, then it's downhill, but you're going to be pushing to try and catch back on perhaps, or even just pushing to keep a little group behind you. See here, these three not getting away. Camera makes it look closer. With riders behind, just getting a little bit of a draft saving. Now coming across to join back on. There we go, comes back together on this gentle, slow downhill. See the pace has eased off then. 3 watts per kilo, 2 watts per kilo. Status neutral at the moment. As we've got this group of around about a dozen riders. 3 riders from Rassio Racing. See them there with their orange and red and black kits at the back. Superb at drafting. Got Kajewski, Greenhall and Decker. Two from ECKD, that's Pedersen and Heiderdam. Part there, currently at the front of this arrowhead, riding solo. 2 from the Pedalers team, that's Jenko. But you can see them in the orange kits, the rally racing kit. Whoop, got a bit too close up to him there. Luckily, our motorbike cameras are virtual, so no interfering, no giving any extra draft. We see Heiderdam on the front, putting down a bit of power, just having a little look over his shoulder. There we are, look, we can see a little gap opening. Nothing too big at this point. Another little look. As we hit some more of these rolling hills. The pack behind, getting that momentum. Able to just come past him there. Take the front. Through these slightly winding corners, these sharp left-handers and right-handers. I'm going to make sure you don't get dropped. Just got to watch it if you're on the outside of those bends, because it can get stretched out. And if the rider goes through the corner first and puts the power down, then you can find yourself a little bit out the back. And having to work a little bit harder than you might like just to stay in contact with these riders. So pretty much as you were then. And I imagine it will stay like this now for the next 10 kilometers or so. No big hills. If you manage to stay in this pack over the early hills, there's every opportunity to stay with this group in the next 10 kilometers or so. You just want to stay alert, nothing silly. Let's head down. Once again, making a bit of an effort off the front. So, headed down on the front. Here's me down in 69th place. After a few issues at the start. Just going to work my way through. So let's go up through the field then. Batis Stitch. He's chasing down Rodart. He's 60 metres behind Mertens. Bonda. Over. Little group of three there. Little bit of a battle. The head Lagarde. They're over the 10k mark now. Raymond. Few riders just ahead. Besic. Little group of three. Holland, Zigarich, and Desault. They're all working together there, just trying to keep those riders behind at bay. And a couple of German riders working together, Marks and Haas. They're in a little race of their own. They're just coming up to the 20 kilometers to go mark. Furlan here, a little bit of no man's land. As we move up, here's a good solid little group then. Got Matt, Lee, Whippen, Contre, Mike Murray, and a couple of French riders, Mathieu and Silvestre. So they'll be getting a nice toe off each other. And then headed down a little group with four here. Ulek, Koch, Ebler and de Jong. And all just working together, taking turns. All the way through now, we see these little groups. It's always good to have a bit of company, someone to ride with. Too hard here, just trying to make sure that they see those, they go up to 7 watts per kilo. Just to stay in contact with these riders. Always need to make sure you're in the draft. If you start to hit a steep downhill, you can very quickly be out of that draft and working on your own. So a bit further up then. Hansen, Jessen, Devige, Bellio and De Luc. Lots of Danish riders as we'd expect in this race this evening. Coming out in numbers. 74 riders online in total. Good to see it well attended. And all of these little groups, they're going to be battling on the road, battling for position. Come the end, they're all going to have a nice little sprint. That little group behind there, 240 metres behind Van der Wiel here. Just gaining slightly on Anderson. They're a little bit no man's land. I imagine they'll get caught by that group behind. Here we go, then here's another big group. Look at them. 15, 16 riders here. Bankruss, Fidel, couple of Ratio racing riders. That's Ben Phillips, Jürgen Van Beurs, Joris Percic. A couple of OTR riders in here as well, you can see with the luminous green stripes. So really big group here. They'll be fighting for up to 13th place. So that's the chase group. And then back here we have the leading group with Jenko and Hartwald now 30 metres off the front, putting in a little bit of an effort. See, there's the pack behind. So this is where the main action is then. These two have opened up a nice little gap as we've gone through the halfway point. Up to 60 meters now. As they crest this little bump, that will open up even more. As we get right up into them there. Extreme zoom on this motorbike camera. 100-meter lead then. That's the benefit of this slight downhill section. And it's going to be another drag uphill. Powering out. Not quite, I say powering out, not quite powering out. Not quite taking advantage of that corner. I thought they might have pushed a little bit harder out of there. So at this point, still a good distance to go, 14 kilometers. I can imagine there's a good chance this is still going to come back together. See, now it's down to 60 meters. Hayden leading the chase. Debray is with him. They're doing what they can to close that gap, perhaps leave some of those other riders behind, whittle it down a bit so that when it comes to the sprint at the end, it's going to be a little bit easier for them. So that gap, look at it now. We've got Hart, Dubray, Decker, Greenhill, Pajewski, Hayden within 30 meters. Burtfist, Foley and Nixon. They've slightly fallen behind. You can see there on the road. There's those gaps. And it looks like Pedersen out the back there. The other ECKD rider in this front group. Like he's been slightly caught then. Caught out. These front two still pushing on, still 20 meters ahead. Still dipping into the red numbers. Still trying to hold on to their lead. Once again, look at them really digging into the red numbers now. They are not giving in, these two. Pushing hard to get to the top of this little climb. Knowing that there's an opportunity, a little bit of descent and then a steep descent. That's where the gap might open up again. They're working hard and maybe the chase are just holding them at bay. Knowing that they've got them in hand. Just trying to let them dangle off the front, let them tire themselves out a little bit more. It's a very valid tactic. But Hart now has made the gap and absolutely powered through. Use that downhill momentum. jumped out of the chasing group and gone straight through these front two and off the front. They come through this little slalom then. Using this nice downhill section to get a bit of speed. Hart on the front there, giving a little wave. You should be concentrating a little bit. See there, these front three then. The numbers are shifting. Calculations got to be done by those in the group. What do? Do they try and bridge across? Do they try and work as a group? At the moment, the numbers favour the group, you would say. 8 versus 3. I think it's Doug Hart. I will double check that. I should know that really. I have cycled with him quite often on the platform. Yeah, Doug Hart, that is right. He's a gold-rated rider. Almost showboating a little bit. With these three, they've got a 50-metre lead. We zoom out here with our camera, get into the helicopter camera. Very shortly, they're going to be hitting a bit of a downhill. See, pulls away here, down to the right-hand side, down into the valley. You can see over there in the distance, look, there's the road, winding back up on the other side of the valley. So they're going to pick up speed. That's going to pull their gap open. You can see Kajewski there, just at the bottom of our screen. We dip down through the trees, through some of these windy sections. Kajewski's just trying to bridge across. He's bringing the group with him. For a moment there, he was in between the two, but the group's responded. Looks like they're also just trying to use this downhill to gain some momentum. 5%, 6%. Hit this left. It's going to be cutting across to the right before we hit a left and up that climb opposite. You can see it there. Inside 10 kilometers to go now. That's front three. They're hanging on for dear life. This next hill is going to be a little bit of a make or break for them. But now we see Greenall looking to make a little bit of a break. Kajewski, Hayderdam, all of them now into red figures. It's 1% gradient, nothing major. Greenall's going for it. Hayderdam's looking to join. This is where you've got to play that numbers game. Who's in the front group? How strong are they? Might only be 3 riders, 4 riders, but if they're stronger than the 20 behind, you know how hard it is to get a group to work together in virtual cycling. We saw that in that Classique de Judy last week. 4 riders stayed away pretty much for 2.5 laps of the Leuven circuit. 16 riders behind, just not interested in working together. So this is now looking dangerous. Doug Hart on the front, still trying to push, still trying to stretch it out. And just as it was starting to look dangerous, this front 4 ease up a little bit and the group behind come back together. Maybe just one eye on this punchy climb coming up. Looks like they might just be taking a little bit of a breather. Hitting this left-hander then. Followed by the right-hander. And then we might start to see some fireworks, a little bit of a pre-lump. And once again, we see the two pedalers in that orange kit making a break for it, Jenko and Hartwald. Not waiting for the main punchy climb, using this little pre-lump just to create a little bit of a gap, put some riders under pressure. Anyone going to fall off the back? Foley's made the gap this time. He's responded. He's so far been pretty quiet. You know, he's got a very explosive climb. The three Rassier boys at the back there. And Nixon just coming in as well. So 20 meters spread out in a line. We hit the main event then, where we're going to see some separation, I'm sure. .8% gradient. A couple of little steeper bits to come. Ada down now. Coming to the front. Bray back up there as well. We've seen them quite animated early on. They're showing their form, showing their class. We're tucked in just behind here, about 30 meters back from the front. Group of 4, group of 5. Nixon and Decker have fallen from the back of this group. They look to be the casualties. It's going to be interesting between these two groups. We hit these right-handers, left-handers. Lots of sharp turns on this climb then. Not hairpins. 90-degree bends. Ada down. In this second group with Hart, Krajewski and Greenhall. That's a strong group. They're 70 meters back at the moment. If these 5 can work together, you would put money on them bringing it back. How much energy have those front pair of Jenko and Hartwald got remaining in their tanks? We've seen them off the front for long portions of this race. As Hart now unleashes 6 watts per kilo, maybe just seeing this top of the climb as an opportunity just to push across, try and latch on before the downhill section where he can rest up. None of these 4 quite able to follow. Ada down there, just slightly using off the pedals, and there's a gap. He's going backwards at the moment. I've not seen too much of him on the platform recently since that Giro d'Europa. Maybe he's just coming back from a bit of a break. Trying to refine some of that excellent fitness and form that he had at the start of September. Was 5 weeks ago. He's still looking strong, don't get me wrong. If you lose 1 or 2% at that top level, it can actually make quite a difference. Right, I'm going to jump back to the front then, because these 4 are 130 meters back. But they are starting to get organised now. Greenhall, 4.5 watts per kilo. Getting into a bit of a TT line up there. Nick giving a little wave to the camera. Thanks for watching, Nick. Either that was a very well-timed wave. Look, this now taking a turn. Let's move up from these guys. And here's Doug Hart then. He's made that leap, made that junction across. We've now got a front 5 with 4 followers. As I said, that numbers game now in the favour of this front group. and the kilometres are whittling down. Now down to 5 kilometres to go, just about. Got one little climb just round this corner. See it there on the left-hand side of the shop. Going to take a left-hander, and then it's going to be upon us. And it's a fast downhill, followed by a climb up to the finish line. It's only around 20 metres. It's going to require an explosive effort right at the end of this race to get you over that finish line in first place. So not only has Doug Hart here made the junction, he's now setting the pace once again. 10 metres in front of these 4. Debray trying to just reel him back in at this point. And 130 metres back, you can just see them in the distance. Down at the base of this climb then. As the pedallers again on the front, working well together. Explosive effort. Using this penultimate climb just to create a bit of a gap to Foley, able to follow. Opening up 25 metres then. And we've got about 3 kilometres of fairly gentle terrain before that 500 metre downhill, 500 metre punch to the climb, up to the finish. And these front 3, having seen his performance on Thursday, Guillaume Toffoli, he really does have a punch at the moment. We've seen him in the back of that group as well, just conserving his energy. We've only seen him come across to that front group once, and it's the one time that mattered. Not wasting energy with multiple bridges across and then dropping back. Now it's definitely between these 5. 200 metres back to Hayden down Krajewski, Bergqvist and Greenall. Their race is done. They're going to be fighting over the minor placings. It's going to be an exciting finish for these front 5. My money's on Toffoli. Anton Renew in the chat there. Who's your money on today? Riley Harvey just saying we've been doing a bit of Strava stalking on Casper Hayden. He's been focusing on some in real life events. I imagine he's been doing pretty well considering the form that he's been on the platform. So Anton Renew, he's going to bet on the Frenchman. Well, you've got 2 here in this front group, Debray and Toffoli. You've got a 40% chance here. I'm going to make you pick one. Actually, I've got Toffoli, so you can have Debray, okay? I'm going to pick for you. There they are, both strong sprinters. It's this uphill, 500 metres. Might just be a little bit longer than what they're used to. Although Jenko, I know from some of the Virtue Slow events at the start of the year, he's got a very long, sustained effort that he can maintain. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a good go at things. My only doubt for him is that he's been on the front quite well. Henrik Maed, he's picking Jenko then. And oh, look at that Hart zooming past. Red numbers, 6.6 watts per kilo. He's not waiting for the finish. He wants to get this done and dusted with 2 kilometres to go. Lots of tactics on play here then. And Toffoli just slightly gapped. We just drop back a little bit here then. Hart's attack there has really shaken things up a little bit. Everyone having to work hard to come across. Oh, I'm excited about this finish. I think it's, at this point, we've all made our predictions, but it's anybody's race. We wind through the penultimate turns then, not far off the finish. Just about to start that descending section. Is anyone going to come through from the back? Use that drafting slingshot effect. All about good timing if you want to do that. And once again, Doug Hart goes slightly brave into that corner because he's going to lose a bit of speed. Through the 1 kilometre to go. Who's going to put in the chase to get to him? I'm pretty sure Hartwald rides for the Pedalers. He hasn't got it in his name, but he's got the same jersey on. I don't know if they're going to work together or work for each other, maybe sacrifice a bit of a lead out. At the moment, it's Doug Hart with a 70-metre lead. As Jenko now makes the counter. Hartwald looking to come across, and Toffoli now falling off the back. No, he's still there. Bray with a nice bit of drafting in behind Hartwald. As Jenko jumps up to 12 watts per kilo, Hartwald into 10. We jump to the front then. And it's Jenko. Makes that bridge, makes light work of that 60-metre gap into the right-hander. Here's the finish line. Hart is coming strong, but it's not quite. And Toffoli actually comes across to take second. Hartwald takes third. Debray in fourth. It looks to me like Doug Hart has just slightly blown up in the closing meters of that race there. And from the chasing group, Greenall just comes in sixth. Not quite able to catch Hart on the line there. Bergqvist in seventh, Pajewski eighth, Hederdam will be ninth, rolling across the line there then. Oh, Toffoli nearly got it. Hartwald and Debray not far behind. That was an exciting finish. Hopefully those two have done their homework. You could see here the right-hander, Decker goes. That's really where you wanted to attack. There's 100 metres after that right-hander, which for some would have just been absolutely torture hanging on. We see Nixon then. He's going to finish 11th. Pedersen down a little bit. Here's another little group. Bretty, Van Beers and Trevor. Let's follow these three, see what happens here. Henrik Mayer there. Also the Pedalers cheering on his team club mates. Was an explosive finish, Riley. You're right. That was very impressive. Let's see what we're going to see from these three. Is anyone going to go early? 5, 6, there's Van Beers at the back then. There we go. Makes that launch 9 watts per kilo. It's still 300 metres from the end. It really is a long run into the line. Possible to just go too soon. I think Doug Hart slightly blew on this section here. It's 200 metres up to this turn. And then another 100 metres as you make that turn up to the line. Another big group coming in behind. If we spin the camera around, there we go, look. Oh, big fast finish from those guys then. So some very exciting racing there. Well done to all those guys. Really was. fast and furious right up to the end. See a couple more riders coming home then. Another little group here. And about 1.2 kilometers back. We'll follow these guys for a moment. And hopefully we're able to bring you some results very shortly. I'm still some way back. Had a bit of a technical issue at the start. Well guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for your message there, Anton. Yeah, quickly these guys have just gone from 1.2 kilometers to go to 600 kilometers. Really have tick that distance down quickly. Kolbig making a bold attack here, 400 to go. Zoom right out, let's see what we've got going on. Another nice little sprint finish for those guys there then. Nice field today, lots of riders, lots of sprints, lots of people working together. It means that everyone is racing hard all the way to the end because they know that they're racing against the riders next to them on the road. So here we are then. Your results for today. And here's me, still 7.3 kilometers to go. Calling my way up that steep climb, right back towards the back of the field. So it was a win then for Robert Jenko, taking the gold medal. 44 minutes, 20 seconds. 4.18 watts per kilo average, pretty solid. Then Guillaume Toffoli in second. Saw him there, very strong sprint at the finish. Just not quite able to bridge that gap to Jenko, who went nice and early, made it count. Wout Hartfeld, the Pedalers teammate, taking the bronze. So first and third for the Pedalers. Great effort by those teammates. Anthony Dubray in fourth. Doug Hart in fifth. Nick Greenhill, best of the Rassia racers today. They looked like they were going to have a strong race, but they maybe just got a little bit off form. Matthias Bergqvist in seventh, Krajewski in eighth, Heiderdam in ninth, coming back from some in real life racing. Jan Decker in 10th. So three, as much as I say that about the Rassia racing riders, three of them there in the top 10. 5 of them in the top 20, as always. Very strong team. But the Pedalers today, they put the pressure on. We saw them out front, first and second. We saw them pushing. They made the others work hard, made those gaps. And we saw some canny racing by Toffoli. So those top 3 earned it today. Very well done to those guys. So that would be ECKD Classic 1 every Monday at 6 PM UK time, 7 PM in European time. So ECKD got a lot of events on. These slightly shorter races on the Monday evening, and Saturday they've got events that go up to 100 kilometers, so 2.5 hours, 3 hours long. So if you looking for something to do on a Saturday morning, which is 9 AM UK time, 10 PM, sorry, 10 AM. It's not in the middle of the night, don't worry, in Europe time. Check those out. All of it can be found on rgtdb.com, as always, for all your race results and upcoming events. And don't forget to check out some of the upcoming series on there. You've got the OTR Tour de Suisse 10-day event coming up. You've also got the Tour of the North being hosted by Alex Plager and Ratio Racing. That's a 4-day event. And the Moon Riders Tour as well. So that's a 6-stage race, actually spread over 9 or 10 days. There's a couple of rest days in there. And what I really like about that series is it's based on the home cities of the Moon Riders riders. They've each created a route around their home, and they're putting that out there using the Magic Rose for people like me and you to go and ride. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting one as well. Right, well, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Hope you've enjoyed the race today. I'm going to try and make my way to the finish. Going to lose a handful of ranking points, but that's on me. But please do check out VTN, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and get involved, because we've got lots of content coming, not just race coverage, reviews of some other apps as well. Soul Cycling we're looking at, Spirit Overflow, new app. I know a few people looked at that. Anton, Tom Gates, you've had a look. So hopefully we can get that going as well. That looks really interesting. If we can get that set up, I think that's going to be an exciting game to play. All right, guys, thanks a lot. As always, cheers for tuning in. I will catch you all very soon on the next edition of the Cycling News race coverage. Catch you all soon.